Hi, this is Tweek. On this week's episode, we're going to feature another from our list of endangered species, and this week it will be the sea turtle. So join us. Supplies you'll need for this project are, you'll need cardboard. We get ours from the boxes that show up at the house. You'll need a lot of hot glue, paint, mostly greens. You will need some bead chain, paintbrushes and water, some paper towel, and you'll need a pair of scissors. So let's get started. We began this project in the hopes of bringing some awareness to some of the animals we share the planet with. In this case, it would be the 7 species of sea turtles that grace our oceans. Of the 7 species, 3 of them are critically endangered. So I want to bring some awareness to them. It started with me seeing a really cute little turtle planter. And then somebody on my list of family members said, let's feature the sea turtles. So I said, okay. Find an image of the sea turtle on the internet, which is what I did, and then I just loosely traced that out myself, and I came up with this design. Very simple. We start out with an egg shape, okay, and this one has a little notch in the end of it for my turtle, and I take a piece of cardboard. This is cardboard that shows up at the house. We're going to make use of it, and you would trace around or create your shape. And I'd cut around. So this would be piece 1. And I'd cut around that shape. Here we go. So that is the main base for our turtle. To make the next base, let me show you here. So there's number 1. The first piece in the 9. That'll be the main base. So then we take this base and we're going to make a slightly smaller. So I'm going to cut off about that much because I want a slightly smaller piece to go on the next layer. So I'm just going to eyeball it and I'm just going to go around. I have another piece here then, just slightly smaller than the initial one. That is piece number 2. Now I'm going to cut several of those because what I do next is take that piece. Here's one here. And I will draw on it very loosely. If I look at my picture of my turtle, they average they average 5 or 6 pieces of shell in like a pattern that goes right down the middle. This is a great thing for kids too, because there's really no wrong way to do this because the shells are always so intricate and individual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could make another one down there, but what you basically want is just a little bit of shells coming down the center, and then you're going to come off the sides, and I'm going to come off here. See where these little indentations are there? And those are going to be the side shell parts. Now, if you want to get a little more intricate, you could pull in more if you want, but using those lines, you see I just quickly drew them in. This isn't a fancy dancy thing. We're making the shells on the side, but here's what we want to do then. So we cut right up the middle on either side of that middle piece. And together we're going to layer these onto the base, and we're going to have a more interesting shell. There's our center. And there's the other. And what we're going to do next, you can see how those all fit together. And I want to make these just a little bit smaller than what the base that they're on. So I'm going to take the side here and I'm just going to make another cut. And so this is going to be just a little bit smaller. I'm going to do the same here because we're going to try to make little ridges in between. So I'm going to come back again. And see, that's going to just quite fit, just a little bit off. The shell and the flippers alone will show you what this image is. See what we've got here? So these are going to sit in from the bottom 2 layers. And that's how I'm creating a little more of a turtle likeness. Now I'm going to paint these. And then before I put them together, I'm going to snip again between these spots. So I want to paint this first before I get all these little pieces. These are all my greens. I will probably deplete my supply of green. But let's start throwing some in here and see what happens. Okay, so I'm using sap green, pethol green. This is called deep permanent green. And hooker green, and those are the greens. There's some sap green there. Sometimes it's fun to paint with the colors not quite blended. Let's see what happens. See, that just looks like a regular old green, but that's fine. It's a combination of these colors. Let's see if I can get some variation in there. Oop, they're all blending. That's fine. I like this color. So I need to add some lightness to this color for the second layer, which means I need to paint up all my pieces in this color. I think I'm going to get some green on me. What do you think? I think I'm going to. Just get over it. You're going to get green. Okay, while he dries this part, I'm going to set it aside and work on a few of the other parts. There's one. I am covering up the marks I made, but I can still tell where I want to make the cuts. The individual little bumps that'll be there. Do you know one thing about sea turtles I didn't know is that they think jellyfish are delicious. Okay, I've got this done. I've got the fins. Now this is the base part of the fins. 2 fins. Left foot and a right foot. Okay, we've got a head, tail. There's the pieces for the base. Let's see. Next part I'm going to paint will be the middle piece, which will be a little bit lighter in the green. So let me get to that. Here's the second layer. And I just want this to be a slightly lighter green than the main color. So I'm going to go ahead and it's going to show all the way through. I want this piece, wherever these little cracks in the shell are going to show through, I'd like that new color to be there. Okay, so I'm going to I had some yellows here, like a creamy, I'm going to add a couple of yellows. If you had just green at home and just yellow or just green and white, just go ahead and add those two together. I want a little more color in the shell. I want enough to cover this whole shell. Oh, I don't know if that's going to be light enough. Let's see. See the contrast. It's good. I actually wanted it a little bit lighter. So let's do it this way. I'll put this in. I'm going to get it covered before I decide. So I like this color. Looks like I mixed just enough. That will go there. And as you lay the other little pieces of shell on, see how you're going to get differentiation in the colors? That's going to look very cool. And then we'll augment it some more. Right now, let's get this guy to dry, and we can start partially assembling. Okay, now that that's dry, I can go ahead and start some of the assembly. This piece is going to go over that. I'm eyeballing the edge. And we're going to get a glue gun out. And we're going to use quite a bit of glue, so have more sticks on hand, which I do. Okay. All right, and we're going to tack this down. Careful you don't burn yourself. And I'm just going to eyeball it and let it drop. next comes the fun part. Remember this same size that I had cut into chunks? That's how it goes. But I want to cut it further. I want it to look more like his shell. Here we go. I'm going to grab these. And I can see where little indentations were, and I'm going to make a cut. Cut, cut, cut. Now before I glue them down, I want there to be some color showing between. And if we line them all back up together, there will not be any color showing between. So I'm going to snip a little bit off. This one here too, I'm going to put a little bit of a curve into it where his neck would be for the head. Okay? And pull a little bit off each one. We already know that there's a gap in the sides, so I pull just a teeny bit off. Okay. Oh, see, as you move them now, see how there's more of a space. See how you end up with a little shape that actually resembles more of the turtle shell? And we do the same with the side, but before I do that, I'm going to glue these guys down. Okay, see how it's a little bit off? I like that. So here we go on the next side. It's all attached. Okay. This one, it fits in, or it did, pretty closely. So I'm going to cut these guys. So, second level of our shell is done. Oh, that's pretty cool. Now we're going to do the same thing. Let that sit for a moment with the flippers. The flippers come off on either side. And I just want to add a little bit of variation, similar to this, but not as big of pieces. So I'm going to take another of the flippers, and I'm going to cut them a little smaller and paint it, and then I'm going to cut it up just like I did with this right here. So let me do that. So what I'm doing now is the same process. I'm just taking a little bit lighter green. Here again, I'm not trying to match up the greens. If you look at a sea turtle, there's all different colors in them. There really is a variety of greens and creams on their bodies. See the little bit contrast in color. While I'm at it, I'm going to do each of the feet as well. So we're going to do the same process. We're going to make everybody look like they have scales. Tail, I think I'm going to leave the tail alone. Here's the head. Oh, look at the yellow there. That's nice. Okay, I've got everybody dried. And we're going to do the same process as we did with the shell. We're going to take each little piece. Now the darker ones, that's the main flipper. Get the feet out of the way for a moment. And the head. And we've got the two flippers here. I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the shell. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to cut it down. I'm just going to randomly cut the flipper, okay? Now I want a little more on this edge here, okay? Then I'm going to cut. It's very similar to the main shell. But you come down the center, and they're more like little dots on the flippers than on the main shell. And they're a little more delicate. See? So I would follow this to make the cuts. I'm going to start right about here So I finished with one flipper. But look at, isn't that cool effect? Isn't that neat? Now I'm going to do the same process to the other flipper, to the 2 feet, and to the head. I'm going to leave the tail alone. So let me get to that and I'll see you on the other side. All right, I have spent about 45 minutes putting the added little touches to the fins. Gosh, that looks cool. The feet have more of just a straight up, just toes in those feet. So the tail has just a couple little ones. Here's the other flipper and the head. Okay, I'm going to add eyes on the side here too. But let me give you an idea of when we start putting this together, how it's going to look. We're going to take the main shell and then you can see how this turtle is going to, wow. I'm saying that because I really like him. That's what we're going to have here, little feet on each side. Now to do that, we're going to take another one of the second tier, number 2. All right, so I'm going to use this piece here, which matched the second layer, and it will hide. That will be the back. So let's put the shell aside for a second, and let's attach our pieces. I'm attaching them to this here, and then I'm going to take 2 more strips that I had cut out for the center, and I'm going to lay them in here so that we have the same level when we attach the shell back down. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to have to bring cardboard up a bit, so that's why these extra pieces are here, so we can attach the shell. More good. Okay, I like that. Quite good placement. Got a little bit of wiggle room for it, sets. Okay, a few more things to do to our turtle. It looks like so far. I'm going to add a couple of eyes. I just took 2 tiny little pieces and painted them brown. They had a little spark for the eye. And I'm just going to tuck it right like that. And glue those in. Oh goodness, glue strands, okay. Then before I shellac, I have one more thing to do. I want to add a little bit more definition just to the outer edge of the shell. And to do that, I'm going to use this pile of green here that I made. I'll grab some of these yellows. Oh, that's probably too much, but it's there now. I want it to just be a little bit lighter. Bring that other one back. I'm going to use the edge of this brush, and I'm going to start just dabbing. They have a lot of these on the edge of their shell. Before I shellac, I want to add the chain, and this is for hanging him up. I've already got the connector on this piece of bead chain. What I'm going to do is flip them over Everything's dry. And I'm going to attach the chain on either side of this top shell. I'm going to use my trusty poker meat thermometer, and I'm going to just poke a hole through. See? This thing works great. I just keep it around. Never use it as a thermometer. And right here. Now I've got to weave the chain in there. This is a thicker chain than I usually use, but I think it's going to be good. The end without the connector goes through the hole, and there it goes. And I pull it through, and I'm going to come through the other side. There we go. And click the connector in. I have plenty of chain to hang my turtle. So that's how it's going to hang. Time to shellac. Here we go. Brush, decoupage. I'm going to use the lid again. I'm going to use several times here. It's a big turtle. Let's see what we got going here. Ooh. Okay. I'm already covered in paint. It might as well be covered in shellac as well. Decoupage. So here we go. So let's see what we've got here. Hey, Mr. Turtle. Take this away. And there you have it. It's our sea turtle. Wow, he turned out pretty neat. So if you like what you've seen here today, give us a like, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to ring the bell so you know when another episode of Tweaks with Tweek is coming along. Until then, let's call attention to some of the creatures that need our help. The sea turtles. They do. See you again.